You could be wiser as an educated advisor. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. On today's show, the #1 consumer challenge is eliminating debt. Part 1 in our series on Your Family Bank with Paul Bechtold. Let's get down to business. Well, welcome to the show, Paul.
Yeah, good morning. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm doing well, but it sounds like America's not doing very well. We are in serious debt. I mean, I just saw the United States government went $22 trillion last week in debt, and that does not include $80 trillion in government obligations for pensions. So we know it's a problem. And so when you talk about eliminating debt, most advisors don't address it. Why do you, as an advisor, as a consultant, why do you address this? And you have some things we're going to walk through this whole week that talk about how you address it.
Well, it starts with education, Steve. The first thing is that most people want to talk about what's flashy and attractive, which is what? How do we grow money? They think that the answer is grow more money, and if we have enough money to throw at it, that we are going to be able to solve people's debt problems. What they don't realize is, number one, there's financial institutions out there that are designed to put you in debt, like banks and credit cards, okay? And they don't realize to what degree they're paying interest on those debts. The second thing is it's just simply not exciting from the standpoint of the financial advisor to talk to people about eliminating their debt. It's not sexy. What's sexy is rates of return, how do we grow your money, all the fancy things we're going to do that, by the way, seem to never quite happen, right? They never turn out the way because there's things like, taxes and market risk and also those fees and commissions that we never seem to get around to talking about that rob the consumer of their, return that they're purported to get.
Now, when you're talking about debt, and most Americans, and I mean most Americans, outside their 401k, if they're getting a match, that's about all the money they're putting aside, okay? So most Americans, over half of them, have what I call serious short-term debt in their credit cards. They have mortgage debt. They have auto debt. Some of them are experiencing now college debt for their kids. So there are several areas where we know we have indebtedness. Now, one of the things I noticed that you talk about is you target this market. You talk about student loan debt, which is now, by the way, $1.5 trillion. Shocking. Talk a little bit about how you can position a financial advisor to start addressing things like mortgages, student loan debts, college planning, and business owner debt.
Well, the first thing we do is we sit down with the consumer and we go into an educational basics of financial education. And U.S. Census Bureau statistics say that of every dollar that comes in the average American's household, 34 cents is going to interest, okay? That's not a 34% interest rate, but that's 34 cents of every dollar that comes in their household is attacking interest payments. The reason being is they don't understand how amortized interest works. It's front-loaded heavily on the interest versus the principal payment, number one. Your mortgage being a prime example of that. The second thing is 40 cents of every dollar goes to pay taxes, and that's not just state and federal tax, but there's taxes on cell phones, liquor, utilities. There's 150 different kinds of taxes beyond state, federal, and county taxes that people don't even realize are going out the back door. So that is 3/4 of your money going to two highly inefficient and highly undesirable things out of every dollar that comes in your household. Are we better off trying to grow our assets and our money, or are we better off to try to reduce our debt? I can show them much more predictably based on simple mathematics how they're going to be much further ahead financially to eliminate their debt first, then worry about growing their money.
And you have a computer model for this, right? That you actually can plug in real numbers and get real results out of the input.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what the founder of Your Family Bank has done. He's come up with proprietary software that links to a contract that has predictable guarantees that shows them how fast your money is going to grow versus how quickly I'm going to be able to eliminate your debts, and based off just predictable mathematics, know exactly when each debt is going to be paid off.
Now, most consumers, if they had the willpower or the track to run on, they would have done this before, but we know that financial behavior is not very disciplined. So I may be sitting there with double-digit interest charges on credit cards. I might be sitting there with bank loans that are 8-9%, depending upon what I'm borrowing on. But what you're talking about is a lot lower, and you keep using a phrase, you just introduced it again, your family bank. And it sounds kind of cool because you're saying, well, we're actually giving you the power to become your own banking institution. It sounds counterintuitive for an individual to think that I'm going to be my own family bank, but that's what you're really saying.
Well, people do have the ability to be their own family bank, and this concept has been around for over 100 years. There's been several very wealthy individuals, namely Walt Disney, J.C. Penney, Ray Kroc, a lady by the name of Doris Christopher started the Pampered Chef that she sold to Warren Buffett, all based off the same concept. Many wealthy people in America understand this concept, and you have a bank out there that is designed to put you in debt and take money away from you. That's how they make money, right? Or you can develop your own bank through a proprietary insurance contract, okay? And that doesn't sound sexy or attractive to people, but dividend-paying whole life insurance solves the need because we pay the interest to ourselves and we recapture that lost interest and that lost opportunity cost.
Now you just named three big players: J.C. Penney, Walt Disney, and
Ray Kroc.
Ray Kroc, yeah. They all went through the Depression. They all had monies in different institutions, including the market. The thing that they survived on and the thing that made them live through it was they had this technology of having their own infinite banking, or this your own bank, being their own bank, through using their cash value policies. I was in shock.
Well, J.C. Penney kept his doors open during the Great Depression with this concept, okay? And what people don't realize is that if you go back to the early 1900s, whole life insurance was a financial staple of most American households because of the predictable guarantees inside of that. Things came along as the economic landscape of the country changed, particularly in the 60s and 70s when a guy named A.L. Williams came along and said, buy term and invest the difference. Because the market returns were there, the financial infrastructure of our country was there, interest rates, and so forth, were conducive toward that type of a strategy. And what did it do? It freed people's finances up. They're paying less for term insurance, but people didn't buy term and invest to get the difference. They bought term and spent the difference. And that they did invest, they invested in very shaky things that, had they stayed with the whole life type of contract and created that compounding for themselves and captured that lost interest cost, they would have been able to be much better off financially with some guarantees.
When you're talking about the ability to self-complete this plan, this is part of the insurance indemnification side of the equation. So if something happened to me, this would take care of my debt, right? I mean, I have death benefit proceeds.
Well, and you hit on a great point. When we create our own family bank, we are creating what you just said, a self-completing plan, meaning no matter what happens to me the rest of my life, whether I die suddenly, I live too long, which is the greater likelihood for most people is that they're going to live to 90, 95, even 100 years old nowadays, okay? But along the way, suppose we get sick, suppose we need, for example, long-term care. Most life insurance products, especially the ones we use for the banking concept, have living benefits. So in the event that I'm 85 years old, I'm losing my activities of daily living, getting dressed, eating, bathing, toileting, transferring kind of thing. We lose two of those, which is the trigger for long-term care insurance. I could convert that death benefit over for the use of long-term care. Here's the best part. It's on an if and only if needed basis. I'm not paying a premium out that's a use it or lose it like traditional long-term care. And if I don't need it, I simply can use it to supplement my retirement, or the death benefit passes on tax-free as a legacy benefit, which is a huge advantage of life insurance.
Now, we're not changing anything. Whatever you were going to target, maybe 7 years, 8 years, according to whatever your computer model says, to get out of debt, you're not changing any of these premium monthly payments. I mean, you're going to be able to tell the client when we're going to be out of debt. You'll be able to tell them what it is just by the mere fact that you have a fixed premium that you're going to be paying for whatever years it's going to be.
Correct. Part of the conversation is if we could show you how to get out of debt in 9 years or less without spending more money, what we do is we find inefficiencies in people's economy in order to fund that policy. So we're not asking them to come up with a payment. We're finding inefficiencies, and we're simply redirecting them to pay to put in the side of their banking concept and to pay that debt off. Now, one of the earliest quickest questions is, well, what if I just took that same amount of money and paid my debts off directly? Yes, you could do that. First question I have for people when they say that is, how's that work for you so far? Okay, The second thing is, and this is the part that they don't realize, this is not knowing what you don't know, is when I do that, I create something called an opportunity cost. I don't have the ability to now earn interest off the money I just gave away, right?
And don't forget to watch our next segment on product solutions for eliminating debt, part 2 in our series on Your Family Bank. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, or compliance officer. And don't forget, you can subscribe to my show, Steve Savant's Money, The Name of the Game, where you can take daily content posted on your website, social media accounts, and database distribution. I'm Steve Savant. Thanks for watching.